Prime Minister toured the devastated region of Lismore yesterday, armed with cash and a promise for future flood mitigation, not just recovery. But some locals weren't all that happy to see him. Joining me live now is Richard Latimer, a community leader in Lismore. Richard, thanks for your time this morning. What were your biggest issues with the Prime Minister's tour yesterday?
Yeah, well, I guess like a lot of the locals and the groups, in my role, just a civilian, just a community member who somehow got pulled into assisting with the civilian air response in conjunction with a range of different people operating basically chartered helicopters to do rescues and things. So there's that initial just shock and frustration of where are they and why isn't anyone here to save the day, and there's wait times and all that sort of stuff and that intensity. So that was obviously really solid at the press conference yesterday, and I had a chance to speak about what had happened once our community organised more. But I don't know, the message now, and I guess where ideally it'd be good to go with it, because I know there's a big focus on that and how they didn't do anything and all the rest of it, and certainly that's a part of it. But really the message that our community groups truly wanted to pass and hasn't as yet been, represented by the media is more about, well, what do we do now about the better unification, specifically in preparation for down the track, much more communication between civil and that. So that's kind of where we're coming from now, because then that's going to give us the momentum. And I'm a father, I've got kids, and the reality is there's going to be more of this. And it's like, well, how is that connection between, highly organised community groups, and those services?
Okay, so he did announce that there were going to be further flooding emergency payments for some of the LGAs, not all of them in the regions affected, but along with that there were mitigation plans that are to be put in place. What were your thoughts on those, and do they go far enough?
Yeah, in terms of those elements, I mean, it's just so hard to tell, because it's so dynamic, and then I through the role I played within the helicopters, in the civilian element, I got to meet different people, and then in the end I got to be a part of a meeting that I helped pull together that had head ADF and aviation and EOC and then the Disaster Relief Australia. And what I learned from them, in particular Disaster Relief Australia, which was essentially a highly organised volunteer group focused on this, is that it just, you can't know. You can't go, okay, here's a such and such payment for a certain group, because it's so dynamic. Take myself and some of our crew. I mean, we're up to 10 days of flying, some of us 30, 40 missions a day. We're doing that off different donations. We're given hours, we're dropping our lives. How do you quantify, pull it together and find ways to support all that? And I think really, again, that's the point we're trying to make is, this is an opportunity really for better organisation, unification between community on the ground, the people actually living and going through it, and the services. It doesn't need to be an opportunity solely with the understandable frustration and anger, and it's not enough and all the rest of it. So I think it's about, in that response, it's about the processes of how they go through more dynamically. It's not a one size fits all, and it's not just a blanket approach, would be my direct answer.
Okay, the people of Lismore are entitled to these extra emergency payments, but then you've got some of the other LGAs, and that includes Ballina, Byron, Tweed. They all missed out. Are you feeling their frustrations?
Well, I live in one of the ones that missed out, and I'm up to, it's only yesterday that we handed over our civil food drop and rescue operations from all of our incredible self-organised team. And so, yeah, I'm certainly feeling it, and we'll be feeling it. And so then it's about, okay, what are the methods by which you go back through those chains, So Resilient New South Wales are down there. They came in and took over the Civic Hall where we were running out of. So it's really going to be how much willingness is there from the government to be dynamic in the way that they manage those responses, because this is not an isolated event, okay? I'm 44 and this is my third 1 in 100 year flood, or apparently this is a 1 in 500. So my concern as a community member long term and as a father is how is that integration in future getting more streamlined, particularly financial support?
Okay, well, on that point though, how do you feel personally about being in one of those LGAs that has missed out on emergency funding? I mean, if it comes to a question of fairness, is that fair?
Yeah, well, I mean, one part of me, of course, feels that it's completely unfair, and how did they make that assessment, and why, considering that, the incredible damages through our region of, is not there. So there's that natural reaction of it's not fair. And I mean, my family are in Ballina and I'm over here, and, why is it you didn't get it and why did we get it? Of course there's that, and I'm going to feel it, but I don't know if I want to focus just on my anger, and I want to focus on, and maybe the media as well, assisting more in, okay, well, and how's that pushed forward in a way that changes that in terms of the structures, because, I understand that it's important, all these things, and they create high emotion, but then often it's the lack of solutions. So, for example, Resilient New South Wales, the ability for people to go down there within these LGAs and go, well, we're not in the blanket LGA you said, but here's the scenario, and having pathways for that.
So what would be a good pathway, Richard? What would be like a simple solution to be able to move forward for the next one?
Well, like I'm 10 days basically no sleep and trying to self-organise multiple helicopters, a group of people. So I'm a bit, and it's early morning, but look, what
an existential question.
But there is an answer. Look, there's an answer, mate. I think this is I mean, there's been enough of them, but this, by now, this is wake up call. This is the warning bell. This is okay. ADF, SES, Resilient New South Wales, the funding department's going, let's get ready, let's get used to it. This is how this is going to play out in future, okay? What it is, mate, is a specialised climate change task force inside the government that is specifically aimed at deeper community liaison, harmony, unification. We don't want every time one of these happen just for the media to go, great, we've got another opportunity to be angry at ScoMo or whatever. We actually want change. People on the ground, us individuals that are living our lives we'd like to see progression and evolution. So that's, I think that it's that, so that those things can be in place. I mean, right now we're doing it in retrospect. people are going down, trying to play their case. Hey, this is where I'm at financially and what's happened. But it's really that, mate. That's the message that's the message I was given as representing a lot of the community that did the response here and around the area, is just let's use this now to get on with the job of making it much more streamlined and better in not the potential, but the almost guaranteed event that there'll be more of this.
Yep. Okay, that's Richard Latimer, a community leader in Lismore. Appreciate your time this morning, very early, I know, when you haven't had any sleep, Richard, so thank you for joining us.
No worries. Thank you so much, guys.
Let's get some more on the weather now.